Hey everyone, Professor Hank. It's good to be back with you today. And in this video, we're going to take a look at how we can write to text files in Python. You'll learn how to overwrite a file using the W file mode. You'll learn how to write to the end of a file by using the A file mode. And we'll look at how we can actually write data to the file by using the write method. Let's go ahead and get started. To write to a file, we're going to use the open function, and we're going to provide it two arguments. The first is going to be the file name we want to write to. So in this case, I'll call it output.txt. You can name this whatever you want, but by convention, text files generally have the .txt file extension on them. And we're going to specify a file mode of W. And then we'll assign that to a variable that we can use to manipulate the file. So it looks something just like that. To actually write to the file, we're going to need to use the write method. So it could look something like this, output.write, and then we'll do something like the first line, and we have to include the new line character because write doesn't do it for you automatically. So we'll add one line, and then we'll add another line here, and we'll say the second line. And always remember to close your files when you're done with them by including a call to close. Now when I run this, we're not going to see any output on the screen because I don't have any print statements or anything. Instead, what's going to happen is output.txt is going to be created in the same location as our Python script file. It's going to contain the first line on the first line, the second line on the second line. So let's see that. So I go ahead and run it. And when I open up the folder, you can see there's output.txt right next to writefiles.py. So that's the default location. If I open it, you can see there's the first line and there's the second line. There's the contents. Now, of course, we can also specify the fully qualified path name for the file. If I grab that address and I put it in here, I have to escape my backslashes. That is a requirement with how Python works. So how do we read this? We're opening the file for write mode. We're going to be writing to a file named output.txt, which is in the HW directory, which is in the desktop directory, which is in the Hank directory, which is in the users directory, which is on our C drive. Here's another simple example that will demonstrate this overwriting behavior that we were talking about. Let's change what we're writing to the file to something simple like ABC and 1, 2, 3. And we're going to see that the existing file is going to get overwritten and contain ABC on the first line and 1, 2, 3 on the next line. And now when I go and open up my output.txt, you can see there's the ABC and the 1, 2, 3. The previous file has been replaced. If you want to add to a file without overwriting everything, then instead of using the W file mode, we're going to use A for append. And this will open the existing file, and then everything that you write will go to the very end. If the file doesn't exist in the first place, it'll create the file for you. Let's see how that would work. We'll add a couple of additional lines to our output.txt, and we'll just do def and then 4, 5, 6. So I run that, and we reopen our output.txt. You can see that now we've appended the two lines to the end of the existing file. We didn't overwrite it. Be careful when you're trying to do this that you don't accidentally choose W instead of A, because then you would lose your existing file. Now, of course, we can use that with as structure when we want to write to a file, just like we can when we want to read from it. So we could do something like this with open, and then we did output.txt. We're going to keep the append, and then we're going to do as, and then we'll name this output. And then in here, we'll just do a couple of writes. So output.write, hello, \n, and output.write, world, \n. And then if we run that, we'll go reopen our file, output.txt, and then you can see there is the hello world at the end. So a few things to remember here. Use W to write a new file or overwrite an existing one. Use file mode A to append to an existing file. Always close the file to make sure that your changes get saved. And don't forget, you have to include your own new line character if you want to break the lines up in the file. That's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. You now know how to write and append files using the right method and the correct modes. Practice on your own by writing your own text files, and double check that your code worked by opening your text file with any old plain text editor such as Notepad. As usual, if you're a student of mine, you have any questions about this video or any of the other videos in our courses, you can feel free to email me via Canvas or stop by our Zoom office hours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.